Welcome to the Ritmos, the podcast that deals with the saga of the Louisiana crime family. Alright, welcome to the podcast, everybody. This episode has some interesting spring to it. It's episode 7, which is called Mafia Wives. Okay, so this is, I have to be honest with you, this is an interesting take. It starts out on August the 9th at 3 p.m. At the Po' Boys, Big Boys Cajun restaurant, the wives in the McGraw family are sitting down having a snack and a lunch as new country music sensation Cowboy Hook and the Silver Radio Band are playing. And Catherine says, Sid had to drive to the Amtrak station in Dallas. And so Laura asks, what are they for? And Catherine says, his ex-wife Sylvia is coming in from Los Angeles. She's asked to stay a few days until she got an apartment and on her feet. Okay, and so Catalina, oh man, she's like, yo no permitiría, Catalina says. If Priscilla came begging me and Claude to let her stay, and Claude let her in, their intestines would be all over my doorstep. And Rose McGraw, wife of retired General Bill McGraw, speaks up. She, oh my God, Catalina. And she says, Claude is my man, and no one else's. And if his ex-wife came crawling back to him, baby would be crawling dead out the door. And Catherine says, if it clears Sylvia from being involved in drugs, so much the better. And Jenny says the feminist who tells us to stand our ground to our men. And Catalina says, Jenny has a point. Last week, I threatened Claude with the frying pan 4 times. And, Florence McGraw, another family wife of retired general, says, Catalina, I'm afraid your hatred of men is going to lead you nowhere, Florence said. And Catalina says, oh? And what about several weeks ago? Laura said that. She said, oh? And what about several weeks ago? During the CBD controversy? Wasn't he trying to force you to prostitute yourself to get a share of the pie? Okay, no. No, it's not Catalina. It's actually Maria, Sid's sister. Oh? And what about several weeks ago, during the CBD controversy? Wasn't he trying to force you to prostitute yourself to get a share of the pie? Marie asked. And Catherine says, yeah, and where were you? And Marie says, I was with you in the thick of the controversy. Let us not forget, I have a house load of kids to run. Okay, so now it's 9 p.m. And Claude walks through the door of his house and is greeted by Catalina once again with a frying pan. And he's like, damn it, calm down, woman. Your days of woodshed justice is over. For a while, Claude says. Couldn't you see? I had to work the chop shop in Sid's place this evening. You are supposed to have dinner with me at Sid's house tonight. And Claude says, and damn it, I would have been. If Sid didn't have to pick up his ex-wife from the train in Dallas, then you shouldn't have promoted him to general. No, Joe says, then you shouldn't have promoted him to general. T-Bone makes better general at this point. At least T-Bone did what I asked. And Claude says, damn it, woman. No one told you to speak. People takes orders from me. Okay, so it's 5 a.m. And at the house of Claude's Uncle Joe Brown, Joe is talking to his girlfriend, Bianca. And Bianca says, there has to be a reason why you were up all night. I just wanted to hold you. And Joe says, it's not fair. And he says, Sid drives to Dallas to pick up his ex-wife from the train and leaves Claude to run the chop shop alone. There's nothing you could have done, Bianca says. I could have run the chop shop, babe. Joe said defensively. Joe, you are 56 years old. A chop shop is a game for the young. Then why the hell couldn't Sid have delegated this job to somebody else? I don't know. Joe, please calm down, Bianca said, turning on the oven and putting in some French toast. She starts to cry. Joe, you know that I love you. And I can't let anything bad happen to you. Baby, I've been fighting the wars since the 1960s, when the Air Force Academy bounced me out. I vowed that I was going to be a soldier. By land or in air, to defend the McGraw crime family. I robbed banks, trafficked prostitutes, and smuggled cocaine, ecstasy, and amphetamines. So it just seems like Joe he's in a bragging mood, okay? And, his girlfriend, okay, she's relatively young, maybe almost 10 years younger than Joe. So, she's trying to get Joe, maybe 8 years younger, she's trying to get Joe to calm down. So it's 6:30 a.m. at the Ferraro house. Sid is making egg, cheese, and mushroom and bacon omelets for breakfast. And Catherine says, so what brought you back to Shreveport? And Sylvia says, drugs has always been a part of my life. I went to LA 4 years ago. I was hoping to find some stardom. And I'll hit like some hits here and there. But then the problem, the bottom dropped out. And I was running low on jobs. So Sid asked Claude to pay for my train ticket, Sylvia said. And Sid said, you were lucky I'm letting you back in, Sid said. When Annie was 2 years old, your mama said you took her and went on a train to Galveston. How the hell did you end up in LA? This older producer, Hank Guyton, promised me stardom. Remember? I played in that spaghetti western opposite of Greg Blake and Terry Lawrence, Sylvia said. And Catherine said, but you flopped after that. And Sylvia said, yeah, a year later, Annie and I had to move to some dumpy apartment outside of Sacramento for a couple of months. But then Haynes felt guilty and got me back there. And that's when I played that dizzy prostitute in New Charged Life. Sid told me that not long after that, you got a young producer named John Henry who put you in that soap opera, The Barn and the Bold, The Barn and the Brave, for a couple of years. And then they bumped you off the show. Sylvia starts crying. Jones made a promise to marry me. But then he loaded me up with PCP and speed and dumped me. And Sid said, "Hey, I thought you had that producer, Timothy David White." And Sylvia said, "He was good for a couple of years until we started having an affair. With an associate producer. I floundered around and ended up in drug rehab. So I had to give Annie over to Mama. But then I got out and had a season in the soap opera Daddy's World. But then at the end of the season, in 92, they said that they wanted me off the show. I was in a few stage plays. And then I was actually hitting theaters in San Francisco and New Orleans. Then you went back to drug rehab, putting Annie in foster care. And then you got out, Sid said. Let me tell you something. I don't care what your daddy said. You should have stayed in rehab the first time. And Catherine said, "Sid, I don't think the kids want to hear all this babbling at breakfast. Let's talk about what we may be doing this week." Catalina said, "Let's eat." Okay, so now it's 10 a.m. at Ashley House. He and Jenny bicker. Do you remember 2 years ago? Ash, Jenny said. You called me Lady Jenny Baker and swept me off my feet. But now guess what? You spent last night partying with the call girls at the Chatham Hotel And Ash is like, come on now, Jenny. You know I have my duties. Claude asked me to entertain a congressman who can help us keep the colonnade. And she's like, then why wasn't Claude doing this? And Ash is losing it, he's like, Jenny, for Pete's sake, Claude had to run the chop shop yesterday because Sid had to take a long drive. For what? Amtrak station in Dallas to pick up his ex-wife. Seems like a lot of drama around the ex-wife. Okay, so now it's 1 p.m. At Jumbo Gumbo, Jenny goes to have lunch with Laura. And Laura says, don't you think it's mighty strange? Catherine Ferraro letting her husband pick up his ex-wife from the train station in Dallas because she had no money and wanted to come home from Los Angeles. And Jenny says, I have to say, at least Ash doesn't have any ex-wife. And Laura says, yeah, but he's stringing you along by fooling around. Catherine is going to let Sylvia Ferraro stay for a few weeks till she gets an apartment and can be on her own 2 feet. If Ash's high school sweetheart, Charlene, asks to stay with us, I would have to say, well, I guess you better show me to the door, Jenny said. She's going around town, causing a big scene, being with tall girls, and playing footsie with a congressman. Richard should have gone to keep things in line, Laura said. You know, he don't like the fooling. You know he don't like the fooling around. Yeah, but he's been bumped down to the first lieutenant, the same rank as Ashley. Sid and Claude should have gone. Either one of them. And Laura says, let me give you a piece of advice to save you the big expense. Be careful about wanting to become a mafia wife, because whatever that man wants, he gets. Even if it means it's not to be with you. This is going to be a sign of things to come in season 2 between Ash and Jennifer. 2 p.m. at Joe's house. He is meeting T-Bone in the living room with cigars. I'm sorry, Joe, but he said he wanted to run the chop shop. all his own. Since Sid went AWOL to pick up his ex-wife, T-Bone Sid. I don't care. Claude is my nephew. And he should have called me. No. I bet that wife of his, Catalina, is filled with a bunch of jealous rage. This Sylvia Ferraro gets to me, T-Bone said. Late 1982. She marries this fellow down Galveston way. Then a year later, she gets a divorce because she wants to go to LA and be a star. And Joe says, that woman is definitely ferocious as hell. Joe said, my wife Harper went to one of her plays when she fell in love with this bull ropes from Mexico. Harper told me after the play that she was so sickened that she wanted to go to the restroom and throw up. Okay, so you were getting a little information about Sid Ferraro's wife and how, ex-wife rather, and how she's a thorn in the side of the McGraw crime family. 5 p.m. at the Ferraro house. Dinner is jambalaya, so the family sits down to eat. So, Eric says, Diana and I start our junior year at Loyola College Prep. Chemistry, English, history, debate, calculus, and swimming. And Sylvia says, have you taken your foreign language requirement? Okay, let's get back before there's any more rude interruptions. So Sylvia asks if they've taken their foreign language requirement. And Diane says, yeah, we took it our freshman and sophomore years, Diane said. I think I'm going to enjoy running into Matt in English class. And Catherine's like, down, girl. I bet he's not thinking about marriage until at least he starts college. And Sid says, Sylvia, I guess Monday we better find you a clinic. Now, Sid, please don't think I'm insane. Sylvia pled, crying. I paid for your plane ticket and your meals and your surprise. If you're going to stay with me, we're going to get you some help, Sid said. 10 p.m. Sid and Catherine now in the bed praying for their family and praying that Sylvia will get the help that she needs. Okay. So, we skip the 11th, of course. We skip the 11th. Here's the 12th and the 13th. Okay. 1 p.m. In the emotionally charged, packed courtroom, Elmer Page is being arraigned for conspiracy to attempted murder. Docket number 100144. State versus Elmer Lawrence Page. Charges conspiracy to commit to attempted murder in the first degree. Judge Buck McKay stared down the hardened biker. Let's get a plate. Not guilty, Page said, staring at the judge. The state on bail? Lawrence Block. The ADA stood up. Mr. Page is held in federal custody without bail. We ask for the same. We also am putting in notice that we plan to seek the death penalty. The judge gave a hard stare at the defense table. Any objections? Going once, going twice. So ordered. Next. Two court officials grab the hardened biker and led him away in handcuffs as Catalina taps Claude on the shoulder. Claude, your sister win, Catalina said. Let's go. 2 p.m. The couple arrived at Caesar's house, where he has 5 12-packs of beer to celebrate. Stupid black box deserved it, Caesar said. You did a good thing today. And burning down that clubhouse gives them just what they deserve. When I told Detective Hayden what they did to Michael, they closed the investigation on that clubhouse, except for Elmer. And Caesar says, if we hadn't stopped him, he wouldn't just have just an axe to grind with your uncle. He would have gone after your mother, Caesar said. I know this time from my days in East LA. 3 p.m. Sid is driving Sylvia from the Coleman Hook Clinic. Addiction group counseling? Sensory deprivation tanks? Neurology tests? MRI? Sylvia pled anxiously. Sylvia, we need you clean. You can't get back on your feet until we get the drugs out of your system, Sid said. You're the reason why Annie blames me. And Sid says, now come on. We were living in Lake Charles. I was the first lieutenant in the McGraw crime family. And Jim Gamble, the underboss at the time, told me that you were a liability. That's why I threw you out. How went the drug rehab for you? Sylvia exclaimed. Half a month. You showed up every day. And then toward the end, you ran out on me. I had no choice. Aunt Kay said that your mother could take care of Annie. What the hell, Sylvia? I just had to file for divorce. It was because Catherine was pregnant, wasn't it? Hell no. As a matter of fact, I met Catherine while you were in rehab. And when you was ape nuts in there, I realized I had no choice. Doctors advised divorce. Why did you keep calling my mother then? Because even though Catherine and I were married and had twins, I still loved you. I just told your mother to tell you goodbye. Woo! 6 p.m. At Cyprus, Catherine, Laura, and Catalina have dinner in the slow sounding Italian folk music. And Catherine says, I took the kids to be with my brother. Sid said he had to sit up with Sylvia to the night, Catherine says. And Laura says, please get rid of her. She keeps calling like a bad memory that don't go away. And that's when Catherine says, I met Sylvia 20 years ago We worked for the city. She loved Sid very much. The thing was, at that point, I don't think Sid was that much in love with her, Catherine said. And Catalina spoke up. Oh, por favor! Patético! Patético! Catalina screamed. At this point, if it was Claude and his ex-wife, Priscilla, both of them would have both of their arms broken and thrown out of my house. And Catherine says, that's the difference between you and me, Catalina, Catherine said. And Catalina says, then Sid needs to get someone to take her to the clinic. And stop calling the chop shop on my husband, Catalina said. That chop shop can pretty much run itself, Laura says. And Catalina's losing it. Says the wife of a burned out attorney. So, Catalina adds some interesting tips here. Because the reality is, she hates men. But she puts up with Claude. Unless she gets the idea that Claude might want somebody else. So at 7 a.m. the next morning, the 13th, at the Longview diner, Claude is having breakfast with Mike. One of us is going to have to do something about Sid. One of us is going to have to do something about Sid, Mike said. Was this week already? He runs up. I end up running the damn chop shop, Claude says. It's getting totally out of hand. You promoted him to general, and now he thinks he can just take advantage of it. And coast off the previous labors. You're my underboss, Mike. So that means whatever you say. Just go on down to the chop shop and give this piss on his devotion. 8 a.m. Kit's Landing garage. Sid is working under a Cadillac when Mike grabs him. What the hell is this all about? Sid asked. This is a demotion. With a warning, Mike said. Why are you pawing off the chop shop for Claude? Just so you can take care of your ex-wife. She just needs extra special care, Sid said. And Mike was, we rescued you from a dead-end job at Firestream. Now, if you're not careful, you're going to lose control of this job, of this chop shop, Mike said, grabbing Sid by the throat. Claude is the boss of this family. Now fall in line. Either get someone to take your wife to whatever clinic or whatever the hell she needs to go. Or find somebody competent to run this chop shop. Final warning. So now it's 1 p.m. Catalina decides to take Laura out to lunch. Claude had Sid beat the crap out of, Catalina said gleefully. Man takes his drug-addicted ex-wife more seriously than his own business. Pathetical. Catherine seems off her game. Marie, who joins them, says. No, Laura says. Marie told me that Michael went to her asking if he could stay with her. Ever since that thing last week, with the bikers, Catherine is either enabling or unhinged, Laura said. I tell her, get Sylvia someplace else, Catalina said. My concern is if Cesar starts to notice things, he's going to be furious. Okay, so now it's 3 p.m. Well, looks like we're back at Ash's house. Not sure. We have no problem. Technology's being stupid again. The crew decided to meet at Mike's house. And Mike said, right now, Claude, T-Bone, and your Uncle Joe are the only functioning generals in this lot. And Claude says, time to lay down some discipline, Claude said. At this point, it might be better off to make cash here, a captain. Put me in. T-Bone's crew, because, no offense, Claude, your Uncle Joe is too old-fashioned. And Claude says, "You always wanted a music studio, Ash. Today, you get one. But you still have a few weeks before I bump you up to captain," Claude says. Uncle Joe says, "You know, I have to be honest with you, Claude. Sidney Farrow does not listen to Mike. I'll take him over with the board," Uncle Joe said. And so Ashley says, "Calm down. This isn't the Air Force, and we ain't sergeants and captains." And Richard said, "There's an inpatient clinic in Monroe. We can persuade Sid to go ahead and put his ex-wife there," Richard said. "Okay, so it's 7 p.m. Meanwhile, for dinner at the Ferraro house, hold, if Sid talks to Catherine and Sylvia." And he says to Sylvia, "Now, look, I know we said you could stay, but it may be only until end of this week. There's a Christian clinic in Monroe. I want you to start out. You can come see us anytime you want. Just go through the program. It's 6 to 9 months. A good treatment. And Catherine and I will come see you often." So Sylvia starts crying. "All right, fine. I'll go through the counseling, the medicine, the therapy. Just no sensory deprivation tank." And Catherine says, I'll take you, I'll personally pick you up and take you to the clinic in Monroe in a couple of days. Look, we let you stay more, but Sid's business is starting to suffer. And he says the boss is being a tyrant, Catherine said. Funny, she calls Claude the tyrant. But it ain't just Claude. So it's now 6:30 a.m. Joe Brown is having breakfast with his girlfriend, Bianca. And Bianca said, "I sure heard a lot, Joe. I heard a lot from the grapevine last night. Catherine having Sylvia transferred to an inpatient clinic in Monroe." And Joe said, "Are the bacon and eggs almost done?" And Bianca says, yes, sir. But I had to start with something healthy, like a blueberry bagel, Bianca said. Sylvia is going to do it because she feels the outpatient clinic here is a bit austere. I'll show, and okay, Joe knows that. I'll show Sydney austere. If he ever forgets his duties again, I can understand with what happened with Michael last week. But this is idiotic. And Bianca says, at least think this. The former Mrs. Ferraro won't be getting out of rehab until next year. Okay, so it's 7 a.m. at the Ferraro household. Sylvia is on the phone with her mother. I'm in the bottom, Mama. I'm in the bottom, Sylvia cries. Why can't you begin to understand that? I was a superstar. But then the drugs got hold of me. I'm on the bottom. Sylvia's mother's voice grew cold. You made your bed when you married Sid. You made your bed when you went to Los Angeles, California. And now, Sylvia, you have absolutely no choice. Until you get yourself clean, you are no duller than mine. Goodbye. Click. And Sylvia's like, why is she being this way? Sylvia says, screaming and crying. And Catherine says, we are going to get you some help. Monroe has the help you need. I thought my mother would have the decency to want to come see me. When I was 7 years old, and I got myself sick, she took me to the hospital. Went and sat with me all the way. Now it's like she don't care. It's like why can't you be more like your sister Tina or your brother Chris? And at this point, Catherine was like, never mind, your mother. I understand. It's been hard since your father passed away. And we would love to have you stay longer. But the fact of the matter is, Sylvia, things are deteriorating fast, and you need better help. Okay, so now it's 11 a.m. at the chop shop, and rap music is being played in the chop shop, And Joe Brown makes his way over to Sid. And Joe says, "Nice to see you back at post. If you must know, late tomorrow morning, Catherine is going to be taking Mike's wife to an inpatient Christian clinic in Monroe," Sid said. "I don't care what you do. Just see to your duties. I don't care what you do. Just see to your duties. I want to see the ledger of everything being done in this chop shop once a week." As Joe leaves, Sid gives him an icy glare. "Don't get too comfortable in command, Uncle Joe, because you're not going to be there long." Okay, so now it's 1 p.m. At Richard's office. He is meeting with the lead attorney, Arnold Carlisle. And Richard said, "Look, about that Zach Nicholas case, I can't, in good conscience, take it. He was one of the bikers. Ran over my friend's 5-year-old boy. But you're one of the best partners in the firm," Carlisle said. "I can't and won't represent this guy in this case. I'm too emotionally involved." "All right. I pass it over to Rob Roth. The thing is, he's one of the most overworked attorneys in the firm. But you're right. Ethics are ethics. You can't take the case of if you're emotionally involved." Okay, so now it is 2 p.m. and it's in front of the written out. It's in a small courtroom. Catalina and Catherine attend the arraignment of Zach Nicholas. Docket number 268930, State versus Zachary Nicholas. Charges of voluntary manslaughter in the first degree. Lady Bailiff said, handing Judge Eleanor Leon a slip. "Let's hear a plea today," Judge Leon said. "I've had enough courtroom antics this morning." "Not guilty," Zachary Nicholas said, wearing his blue patch in defiance. "Your Honor, we reserve the right to move this trial to another one because this is attempted murder of a child. So we ask that Mr. Nicholas be held without bail, held without charge." ADA Azúcar, Castro said. Why is this doing this? Stop! Gosh, you can't be serious. Mr. Nicholas has ties to Shreveport. He has a mother and a sister here. He's not a flight risk. And the state should have already done attempted murder 1 charge. I see that in the write-up. Miss Castro, give me a number I can live with. Due to the nature of this crime, $300,000. Come on, my client doesn't have that type of money. The lawyer angrily protested. That was set at $300,000 cash bond. Next. That thing needs to die. That thing needs to die! Catalina exploded as the loud courtroom is leered. And Catherine says, Biker Club president down, Mr. Nicholas down, and 1 more to go, Catherine said. I called St. Michael's in Monroe, and they do have a bed for Sylvia. Okay, so 7 p.m. in downtown Shreveport, Sylvia is watching from a car when she bumps into an ex-boyfriend from the 1960s, Danny. Remember me? Danny said. We went to junior high school together. Let me hit you up with some amp. Sid's wife is in the car. Over there. Have it or not. Oh, no. You still feel the same for him? But Sylvia, he dumped you. And then they immediately started to regret it. I took you in. Remember that? Remember that? You didn't take me in, Danny. You kept me for a couple of days. Then loaded me up with things. And left me on the sidewalk. I'm leaving Shreveport in the morning. You're a user, Danny. And I refuse to be like that anymore. Okay, so that shows some gusto on the part of, that tells you that Sylvia, she wants to be clean. 5:30 a.m. Claude had just woke up when there's a pounding at the door. It's Caesar. What the hell? You let a drug addict woman in your neighborhood? Caesar said. Hold on, that was Sid and Catherine, not me. And to tell you another thing, it was my Uncle Joe and Catalina that said that the woman has to go. Today. You better be damn lucky. Because I don't want her bringing any of those Yale slinging punks in this neighborhood. And Catalina grabs Caesar. You're crazy to come in here this hour of the morning. And second of all, not going to happen. Catherine just told me that she saw Sylvia turn down some meth. From a crazed ex-boyfriend. Sylvia is leaving today. I told Catherine, for the sake of his organization, she has to be told goodbye. Okay, so it's 7 a.m. Meanwhile, at the Ferraro house, Sylvia is packing and crying. She can't believe she has to be leaving today. She knows about the clinic that she's going to. And she feels sad that she has to be hauled away. But she also understands why Sid and Catherine did what they had to. So long as she had access to drugs, she couldn't stay. 9 a.m. Caesar and his band are packing to get ready to enter the plane for a concert in New Orleans tonight. Catalina would not be joining them for reasons that will be revealed later. 11:30 a.m. Sylvia hands over to Catherine her watch and jewelry. Things that she can't have in rehab. The car leaves the Ferraro house, bound for St. Michael's Clinic in Monroe. 1 p.m. Catherine and Sylvia arrive at the St. Michael's Rehabilitation Center. Mrs. Ferraro, welcome to St. Michael's. I'm Father Michael DeBusk. Here we look at the whole person in rehab. And it's a 6 to 9 month commitment. Please no sensory deprivation tank. Thanks. I heard your ex-husband sent you to a crockpot clinic in Shreveport. You won't have anything like that here. Just your counseling, individual counseling, and medication and neurological evaluation. We want to help the whole person. Rodney will show you the first steps to get you inducted into rehab. Similarly, Sylvia races Catherine. Thanks for everything. Once you're clean, you're always welcome, Catherine said. 3 p.m. At the Ferrara house. The kids are back and doing their own thing, so Catherine and Sid can talk. We knew she was in trouble, so that's why we did it, Catherine said. I'd do it again. But not like it. Not when she's sick. Not like this time. Sylvia has to be clean. Totally clean. Before we can put her back on her feet, Sid said. Catalina, what's wrong with her? Everything is hate this, hate that, and hate men. Don't get me started on how complicated of a marriage Claudia has. They have been married for nearly 4 years now. And hell, this time expect Claude to just throw her out the door. And that's the scene. Hope you enjoy listening to the Ritmos. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the saga. This is the James Henry Compower Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets creepy from here.